All right, let's just jump right in, shall we? Today, we are tackling one of the most talked about, most confusing, and, let's be honest, often most painful dynamics in modern relationships, the infamous friend zone. Oof, if you've ever heard these words, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's that phrase that lands like a gentle little pat on the head when what you were really hoping for was a completely different kind of connection.
So, what are we really dealing with here? I love this way of thinking about it, a relationship purgatory. That term just perfectly captures that feeling of being stuck, right? Somewhere between what you have and what you truly want.
See, the thing is, at its heart, this usually isn't some one-time accident. For a lot of people, it actually becomes a repeating pattern, a frustrating cycle of mismatched feelings that can be so hard to wrap your head around.
It all boils down to this fundamental emotional mismatch. You're offering romance, and they're offering friendship. It sounds so simple on paper, but wow, in real life, it's so much more complicated. But why does this happen?
Okay, so let's start with the practical stuff, the surface-level reasons. These are the common behaviors that can accidentally send out friend signals when what you're really trying to say is something more.
You know, maybe you just played it safe for way too long, and by the time you were ready to make a move, they'd already mentally filed you away in the friend category. Or maybe you never really treated them with any special attention, so they just kind of mirrored that energy back at you. Not setting clear boundaries or just being too scared to say how you feel. Yep, these are classic pathways into the friend zone.
And of course, the experience itself, it often follows this painfully familiar arc, doesn't it? It's like the 5 stages of grief, but for your love life. It starts with denial, No, we're just taking it slow, which then turns to anger, bargaining, depression, and finally, that grudging acceptance that maybe, just maybe, you're their designated +1 to other people's weddings for life.
But hold on, because if we stop at those surface-level reasons, we are missing the real story. We absolutely have to talk about the biggest myth of them all, this whole idea that you end up here because you're just too nice.
This idea that you're too nice isn't just wrong, it's genuinely unfair. Let me be clear. Being a good, kind person is never the problem. The real explanation for why this pattern happens goes so much deeper into our psychology. The real story is about this fundamental tension, this constant tug-of-war between two very different human needs, the need for safety and the spark of desire. And here's the kicker. They don't always grow in the same conditions. Think about the difference in vibe here. Friendship is built on safety, stability, comfort. It's predictable, it's low risk. Desire, on the other hand, well, it often thrives on a little bit of tension, a bit of uncertainty. It's a pull, a feeling that isn't quite settled yet. The psychologist Robert Sternberg actually breaks love down into 3 parts. Now, people who repeatedly find themselves in the friend zone often become absolute masters of intimacy, that closeness and support. They nail that part. But the relationship never really develops that second key ingredient, passion, which is that spark, that romantic and physical pull. And this gets to the very heart of it. Desire needs a little space to grow. It needs room for curiosity, for the other person to wonder about you, to want to move toward you. When you immediately close every single gap with caretaking and constant availability, you can accidentally leave no room for that longing to ever develop. So, how does this all connect back to you? Because see, this pattern isn't just about what you might be doing in the moment. It's about a map, a relational map that you learned to follow a long, long time ago. For a lot of people, being the safe one, the caretaker, that wasn't a choice. It was a survival strategy. You learned early on that the way to get love and to stay close to people was to become essential, to be so helpful and so consistent that leaving you would be unthinkable. This isn't a flaw, it's a deeply ingrained skill that you perfected. I really want you to let this sink in. You're not broken, and you're not choosing the wrong people. You're just navigating with an old map, a map that was designed to keep you safe and connected in a world that might have felt pretty uncertain. So how do you start to draw a new map? It's not about playing games. It's about small, gentle shifts. It's about allowing your true feelings to be visible, maybe a little earlier than feels comfortable. It's about creating space for someone else to step towards you. And most of all, it's about trusting that you are enough, right now, exactly as you are, without having to earn your place. And that brings us to our final thought. For so long, the pattern has been driven by a desire to be needed, to be indispensable. But what if the goal was never to be needed, but simply to be known? What might change if you let yourself be seen, truly and completely right from the very beginning.